There are numerous adjectives that are frequently used to describe creative individuals. But are they, however, correct? Imagination or original ideas are used to create anything, which is according to the definition of creativity. The definition itself may imply that we are all creatives to some extent, and that there are no distinct personality types linked with creativity. Arguably, there are clear distinctions between creatives and those who employ their ideas in more subtle ways in reality. So, what exactly qualifies a person as extremely creative? What distinguishes them from everyone else? Well, let's find out. 1. They make creativity a ritual. Take the example of waiting for a plane at an airport. It will probably take a while, and that's what waiting for inspiration looks like. When there's a lack of inspiration, creative people persevere by doing something creative regardless. Every day, famous comedian Jerry Seinfeld made it a point to write a new joke. Some of them were downright humorous, others were simply awful. However, he recognized the importance of frequency. Creativity can be compared to a muscle. Your mind will become accustomed to entering the creative mood if you make it a habit. This also implies that you should have a low boredom tolerance. This isn't unexpected, given that creative people are always looking for and supplying inspiration, and anything that doesn't fuel the creativity or could be considered mundane is quickly dismissed. Thumb twiddling is simply not an option for creative folks. 2. They take time for solitude. One must be able to use solitude constructively in order to be open to creation. The dread of being alone must be mastered. That is where the ultimate test of creativity lies. Artists and creatives are frequently classified as loners, and while this isn't always the case, solitude can help them produce their finest work. This is related to daydreaming, which has been claimed by practically every creative person. We must allow ourselves the time and space to just let our brains roam. To be able to articulate your inner monologue as a creative person, you must first connect with it. Be at ease with yourself so that solitude does not overwhelm you. 3. They're curious about everything. A typical creative genius might be a gardener, a historian, a physicist, an expert in American literature, and a dabbler in astronomy. Almost all of them are voracious readers. That's because an idea is nothing more than the amalgamation of pre-existing pieces. Les Demoiselles d'Avignon by Pablo Picasso is often regarded as the best picture of the 20th century. But if the artist hadn't spent hours at the Louvre studying African and Iberian sculptures, this would have never made it to canvas. Their insatiable curiosity makes them inquisitive individuals who are continually on the lookout for truth and information. Their fact-finding covers a wide range of topics due to their diverse interests. If you chat to a creative individual long enough, you'll see that there isn't a subject about which they aren't knowledgeable. These individuals are true verbal chameleons. Ideas require a power source. People who consider themselves creative keep the tank full. 4. They can live with discomfort for longer. It's unpleasant to have an issue that you can't fix. It's like having an itch you can't scratch. It's very tempting to settle for a second-rate answer during this period. Creative people, on the other hand, can tolerate this discomfort for extended periods of time. They wait for the big thought, that eureka moment. Take the example of John Cleese, who, even though he didn't think he was the most skilled member of the Monty Python crew, realized he was the one who came up with the most hilarious sketches. He claims it's because he could linger on an idea for a long time. He had a strong tolerance for emotional anguish. This does have its downside, though. You may have to hold on to good ideas or concepts till it's too late. 5. They observe everything. The universe is a creative person's oyster. They see prospects all over and are continuously absorbing information that they may use to express themselves creatively. A writer, according to Henry James, is someone who loses nothing. Joan Didion, a prominent writer, carried a notebook with her at all times and claimed that she used it to jot down notes on people and events as a method better to comprehend the complexity and contradictions of her own mind. So be cautious when you're around your creative friends. You never know what they'll write about. 6. They're interested in people. Compassionate, sensitive, and inquisitive persons are very creative. They enjoy conversing with strangers since it piques their interest. They're fascinated by the inner workings and thinking of others and wish to learn more about them. Creative types tend to have happy connections with their loved ones and strive hard to keep them happy. Their empathy and compassion are often overlooked, but they're an important aspect of their character. Indeed, research has discovered a link between empathy and creativity. This leaves scientists speculating that this is due to empathy facilitating creative problem solving. One of the greatest said he had learned a great lot from just listening to people. His name? Ernest Hemingway. One of the 20th century's great people observers, he's also considered to be the finest writer of the 20th century. Maybe taking a page from his book wouldn't be such a bad idea. 7. They're open to new experiences. People who are creative like searching out new experiences. When the majority of people dislike or reject certain experiences, creative people are more likely to try them out. Creative people enjoy learning and discovering new things, whether it's a new hobby, perspective, meeting new people, or trying something new. As a result, research has proven that this desire to learn new things actually helps and boosts their creative work. The biggest predictor of creative achievement is openness to experience. Openness is defined by 3 sorts of engagement that highly creative people love. Intellectual engagement is defined by a passion for knowledge and ideas, as well as a desire to solve problems. Affective engagement is defined as a desire to understand and care for others. The tendency to react emotionally, admire and investigate art is known as aesthetic engagement. What is your most well-known engagement? Maybe you're more inventive and receptive to new experiences than you realize. 8. Creative people are extroverted and introverted. May 𝐤𝐨𝐬𝐽's great soul rest in peace. He established the famed hypothesis in which he based his research on whether people were introverted or extroverted. Extroversion, according to 𝐤𝐨𝐬𝐽, is when one's interests and energies are directed toward the outward world of people and things, rather than the inner world. Extroverts are more outgoing, social, sociable, and publicly outspoken than introverts. Introverts, on the other hand, tend to focus on themselves and their inward feelings and thoughts. The world of the introvert is one of seclusion and personal experience. When we apply 𝐤𝐨𝐬𝐽's theory to creativity, we find that there's a split. Writers, for example, are frequently labeled as creative, but they're also labeled as introverts, and these 2 personality qualities rarely coexist. According to a study, creative people can be both introverted and extroverted. 9. Artistic people keep an inventory of accomplishments. Journaling has been shown to have a favorable impact on researchers. Keeping track of our achievements allows us to reflect on what we've accomplished and how far we've come. Creative people frequently keep note of their accomplishments, whether personal or professional. They can utilize what they've accomplished thus far as a standard for future accomplishments. Self-reflection is important to creative people, and they frequently raise the bar for themselves and others to achieve more. They recognize the value of perseverance, and as time passes, they continue to reflect and set new standards. 10. They are intuitive. While this may not apply to every creative person, the majority of people who are extremely creative and imaginative are intuitive. They listen to their hearts rather than their heads, which can lead to them taking huge chances, whether they succeed or fail. Highly creative people frequently deviate from the standard, preferring to trust their instincts, which benefits them and their inventiveness. Furthermore, intuition is the foundation of creativity. Going through the motions and making something from nothing is, after all, what creativity is all about. Intuition, rather than erroneous thoughts, aids in the development of faith in yourself and your inner feelings. While being intuitive does not always lead to the best answer or result, it is an excellent tool for creativity and a strong feature in highly creative people. 11. They never give up. Even when they fail, when they are their own harshest critics, when they run out of ideas, when they aren't finding inspiration, creative people strive for it and attempt to find it. They don't give up on their aspirations, and they aren't afraid to start over. Highly creative individuals continue to flourish in their very own world, which makes far more sense to them than the world that we live in. If you know a creative individual, it's likely that you've grown considerably infuriated with their odd personalities and inclinations. They operate on these quirks that others deem as peculiar and absurd, and because of their personality and how they see the world, they're capable of creating beautiful works of art out of apparently zilch. 12. They turn life's obstacles around. Gut-wrenching agony and heartbreak have inspired many of the most iconic stories and songs of all time, and the silver lining of these difficulties is that they may have served as the trigger for great art. Many people may be able to harness their challenges and early life trauma for significant creative growth, according to a new discipline of psychology called post-traumatic growth. Researchers have discovered that trauma can aid people in developing interpersonal relationships, spirituality, life appreciation, personal strength, and most crucially for creativity, recognizing exciting options in life. Many people are able to use this as a fuel they require to develop a new perspective on reality. What's occurred is that their perception of the world as a safe place, or as a specific type of place, has been shattered at some point in their lives, prompting them to look at things in a fresh, new way, which is highly favorable to creativity. Nietzsche felt that one's life and the world as a work of art should be treated as such. Creative people are more prone to see the world in this light and to look for ways to express themselves in everyday situations. Creativity is simply an expression of your individual wants, ambitions, and personality. To them, self-expression is a form of creative expression. 13. They lose track of time. When artists write, dance, paint, or express themselves in another way, they may find themselves in the zone, or in a flow state, which can aid in producing their finest work. Flow is a mental state in which a person can easily acquire a high level of focus and relaxation by transcending conscious thought. When in this state, a person is almost resistant to any internal or external demands or distractions that can obstruct their work. When you're doing something you enjoy and are good at, but that also challenges you, as every good creative project does, you're in the flow state. Sure, creative people have found something they enjoy doing, which is great, but they've also developed the skills necessary to enter the flow state. The flow state necessitates compatibility between your skill set and the task or activity at hand. It's a fine line to walk between becoming completely engrossed and being productive. Some excellent advice to live by, as usual: connecting things is what creativity is all about. When you ask creative people how they achieve something, they often feel a little guilty, since they didn't actually do it, they simply observed it. After a while, it seems plain to them. That's because they were able to connect previous experiences and synthesize new information. So, now that we've gone through our list, do you consider yourself to be a highly creative individual? So, thank you all so much for watching. And before you go, remember to subscribe to the channel and leave a like for that YouTube algorithm. With that being said, have a great day and see you all in the next one.